Education in the College of Indigenous Futures, Arts and Society. I'm also Senior Lecturer in Indonesian Studies, and my research deals with Indonesia and Timor-Leste history and politics broadly defined. So I'm very pleased to be chairing this session here this morning, which is on people, environment and livelihoods. So I'm looking forward to learning a lot from the research. Oh, what's happened there? Spoilers. Oh, sorry. There's a transition embedded in there, sorry. That shouldn't be one. I have ghosts in my PowerPoint slides too. You just want to keep going forward. So we'll commence our panel this morning with Jenny House, who will be doing a flash presentation of the use of customary practices in co-management of small-scale fisheries in Timor-Leste, and Jenny has just recently commenced her PhD, so she'll be talking about some initial ideas to do with her research, and then we'll have three 15-minute full papers after that by our presenters for the rest of the panel. So thank you very much. Please make Jenny very welcome. Thank you. Thanks, Jenny.
Thank you very much, Vanessa. Like many other countries in the region, communities in Timor-Leste face struggles with managing their fisheries sustainably. As experienced by Salmal from the fishing community of Bekele, who said, "We don't catch as many fish as before. In the past you were lucky if you could eat all the fish you caught that day." So co-management is one tool that may address the challenges of managing the complex ecological and social elements of small-scale fisheries throughout Northern Australia and Southeast Asia, and further afield. It involves sharing responsibility for management between resource users and the government or an NGO, perhaps using a hybrid approach that blends customary and science-based management. In Timor-Leste, co-management usually involves incorporating the customary management process of Tarabandu, alongside the involvement of international NGOs. Tarabandu is a process of setting local laws built around ritual practice, prohibiting certain activities under threat of spiritual or material sanctions. Although Tarabandu is a long-standing tradition, the use of Tarabandu for fisheries management in this way is relatively new. So in their recent paper, Tilly et al., including CDU's very own Kim Hanum, evaluate this approach. Despite the enthusiasm that many people have for this form of management, there has been little evaluation of how appropriate and effective it actually is. They highlight the need for guiding principles that can ensure that co-management is approached correctly, so that external actors engage communities without reinforcing the marginalization of certain user groups. Tarabandu should not be seen as a quick fix that NGOs can use to ensure the cooperation of local communities. So I'd like to use the example of my previous work with the NGO Blue Ventures to explore how we can build on these recommendations. This is the Blue Ventures process of developing Tarabandu, although it varies in each community. And some of these steps happen simultaneously. It starts with being invited into the community that's interested in marine management, and then moves on to gathering information, discussing concerns and potential solutions with community leaders or shefis and the wider community. Tarabandu regulations are drafted, circulated and discussed before being formalized in a ceremony. Meanwhile, community-based monitoring groups collect useful fisheries data, and we then provide support as the community implements, reevaluates and develops their Tarabandu. So from our experiences in these communities, I've drawn out three key areas that I think are important and where we can learn the most. The first is leadership, which impacted how the process progressed in each community. The layers of local government can be hierarchical and complicated, as we heard a little bit about in the previous presentation. So strong leadership is needed at each level to keep the process on track. Chefs often took responsibility for community engagement, but then struggled to communicate widely. I think we underestimated how much of this awareness raising would need to be conducted ourselves or by other members of the community. But this is one area where the monitoring groups excelled. Not only did they collect valuable data, like this, but they also became vocal advocates for fisheries management and conducted outreach activities. We also found that the monitoring groups were a great way for people who are usually left out of the decision-making processes to become involved, like women, for example. And the third issue, unsurprisingly, is that the local culture varies with each community. Problems arose when there was a tension between cultural leaders and government leaders from the modern system, as we heard from Mount Egas. And this shouldn't be underestimated, because in one of the communities, this went unresolved, and the tensions caused the process to completely grind to a halt. In the words of one community member, Johnny, he said, "We all want Tarabandu here, but based on the culture from our ancestors, we believe that it will be stronger if we do it in the proper way." So the aim of my research is to examine how people participate in community-based fisheries management in Timor-Leste through a gender lens, with a particular focus on how participation in management can empower women. Many policymakers and communities see Tarabandu as a legitimate tool for fisheries management, but the international NGOs who are involved have much to learn. Through research and learning from our experiences, I hope that we can develop co-management processes that put community first and ensure a sustainable future. In the words of Erna from one of our community-based monitoring groups, she said, some older people don't want Tarabandu because they're thinking about today. We youth want Tarabandu because we're thinking about the future. And hopefully my research here at CDU will be able to contribute towards building a more equitable and sustainable future. So thank you very much for your attention, and I'd like to acknowledge my supervisor here, Natasha Stacey, and also Danica Kleber at JCU, and also the NGO Blue Ventures, whose case study I've shared with you today.
And I must acknowledge that this panel